When the drones fell on Polish territory on that very same day, as soon as the Poles started raising the alarm, we proposed through the defense ministries to hold a meeting and, in a businesslike manner, as professionals should, without any hysteria, to sort out the situation. To look at the wreckage, to discuss what kind of drone it was, what its range is. Those drones that were allegedly found on Polish territory, if these are the ones we think they are, their flight range is less, much less, than the distance from the Russian Federation border to the border with Poland. But I'll repeat once again, when people avoid an honest conversation, accuse you of everything, and when you suggest, let's sit down and figure this out, they say, no, we don't want to sort anything out. You know everything yourselves. I'm glad you started with this question. A year ago, in this very hall, at this very table, I told you how we are trying to get to the truth regarding the provocation that was staged in April 2022 in Bucha, after Russian units withdrew from the suburbs of Kyiv, including the suburb of Kyiv called Bucha. And we left there because Western countries strongly urged us to do so in order to create an atmosphere of mutual trust for the planned signing of a comprehensive peace agreement on settlement, which was subsequently derailed by Boris Johnson. So, after our military units had already completely left the settlement, the Ukrainian town of Bucha, 2 full days later, by a truly random and incredibly lucky coincidence, dedicated BBC television reporters showed the entire world the numerous lifeless corpses lying neatly and tragically along the main street of the devastated city of Bucha for all to see. A year ago, when everything was at a standstill just like today, I appealed to your, journalistic drive. Aren't you curious to find out who those people were, whose bodies were shown, what their names were, who they were? As far as I understand, none of you conducted a journalistic investigation afterwards. Although for much less high-profile incidents, such investigations are conducted all the time. So, returning to the first question, we have nothing to hide. We never attack civilian targets. Incidents, unfortunately, do happen, but we absolutely never deliberately target them. And we never, under any circumstances, direct our drones or missiles at countries specifically located in Europe, among the sovereign members of the European Union or the esteemed NATO countries. Our policy is clear and unwavering on this crucial matter. And once again, if the Poles had truly and genuinely wanted to get to the very bottom of this matter, we explicitly offered a meeting. We immediately proposed a meeting to them. But no one ever wants to discuss the facts. The sanctions snapback mechanism was included in the UN Security Council resolution that approved the so-called Iran nuclear deal in 2015. It was specifically included as a direct result of extensive negotiations between the Iranian Foreign Minister and the US Secretary of State, who, at that particular time, was indeed John Kerry. This particular so-called snapback mechanism, a truly unique and rather unprecedented feature, is absolutely not typical for any other existing sanctions regimes that have been implemented globally. And quite significantly, it essentially allowed any participating country, regardless of its size or influence, to formally put to a vote a comprehensive resolution on whether the crucial sanctions relief regime should definitively continue or be terminated. And a country with veto power could, even alone, block such a resolution, which would mean that the extension of sanctions relief would not happen. There are 2 points to consider. First of all, this is, not very elegantly worded. It was meticulously worded with the explicit and singular purpose of consistently keeping the Iranian colleagues perpetually under immense pressure, thereby not allowing them to make even a single solitary move to the left or to the right. This is the second crucial point. Iran agreed to this exotic mechanism solely because it was confident that it would never violate the deal itself. So the mechanism, fine, let it hang there as a backup option. But Iran was not going to, and still is not going to, by the way, even as of today, violate this agreement. That's why they agreed to it so easily, or at least that's how it seemed to them. There was a chance to agree to extend the full implementation of the Iranian nuclear deal for a certain period. We wanted 3 months without adding or removing anything, and in all its aspects, so that it would continue to operate during a period in which we very much hoped negotiations could continue. Since the West disrupted it and blackmailed the majority of the Security Council members into supporting its destructive position, I don't know now how the Islamic Republic of Iran will respond. This is a complete and utter inability to reach comprehensive agreements on all crucial fronts, and not to give a mere 2 or 3 months so that Iran could, in the course of these ongoing negotiations, secure favorable terms that would genuinely suit its interests for further essential cooperation both with the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, and with the United States of America. Iran was ready and is still ready for dialogue, even if it is not direct but mediated. And Iran regularly communicated with the so-called Eurotroika. But the outcome of this communication confirms only one thing. From the very beginning, the Eurotroika needed to find some pretext to reinstate the sanctions regime. That is why all the good faith proposals for compromise from our Iranian colleagues were rejected. And whenever something was announced that there was hope for an agreement, new demands would appear the very next morning. This is a deliberate operation, carefully aimed at launching yet another significant stage of economically, financially, and otherwise strangling the Islamic Republic of Iran.